Hi. Hello. Um, I'm Brennan, and I'm from Idaho. Setting up my first video on this channel. Thought I'd talk about where I am from, kick the tires on my microphone, and all that stuff. Um, okay, so this is um, a level 3 ecoregion. This is the Snake River Valley ecoregion in Idaho. It's mostly where I've lived. Um, so Idaho is one of these big western states in the United States, landlocked. Um, Snake River Valley is this crescent here. So you've got what probably once was a continuous mountain range in the Rockies that went from these mountains here to these mountains here, but has been hollowed out by geologic activity from the hot spot that now powers the Yellowstone caldera and is kind of driving all the geysers and all the thermal activity there. So I grew up here in East Idaho. I'm still here now, actually. Grew up in a Mormon community. And when I was 20, I did a mission for the Mormon church. Went to Italy. Whoop, Italy, where are you? Which is kind of hilarious to think about. Like, um, no country on earth maybe is so like already dominated by a specific brand of Christianity already. Like it doesn't need an American Mormon missionary to find people there. Um, I lived in Sardinia for about a year. I lived in Sicily briefly here on the Messina Strait, and then down here in Puglia um, toward the end. Those are interesting years. I was here for the second half of 2012 and the first part of 2013. So, Syrian refugee crisis landing in Italy was kind of like in full swing and very interesting time to be in a country dealing with migration, meeting all the people from, weirdly, like a lot of the folks I met they weren't like, I mean, I guess this is probably this is already known or whatever. There's been good research, but like I didn't meet Syrians escaping Syria, right? Like I met a ton of, like, for example, West Africans who use Syria as a gate. Like if you pass through Syria into Europe, you fall under this special status. So people were using the Syrian war as an opportunity to migrate. Not necessarily like the war was just driving people out of that area anyway. So it was a fascinating time to be there. But yeah, went to college and got my undergrad at a kind of a Mormon college here in Idaho. Met my wife here. She's from Idaho. So we've settled down here. We're kind of like in this area, the where you got these lava flows. So geologically kind of interesting place to be. Um, okay. Uh, I feel like this is kind of relevant because it ends up being a lot of what I kind of want to start a stream about, talk about, um, is kind of what I do professionally, right? I don't want to talk about my jobs and all that kind of stuff necessarily, but just my background. I got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, but then kind of went on this path professionally that took me out of mechanical engineering and into web development, software development. Um, so this is like a kind of a timeline. Um, Before college, I never knew about programming. I didn't know it was a thing. Like, I guess I mean, I use computers and I was born in 1990, so um, in kindergarten, I used the computer that ran Microsoft DOS. I mean, I wasn't running the computer, but like a computer tech came and started a little reading program. So obviously, like growing up in the computer, I just never put it together that like it was a job to write software in a programming language for a computer. That just went over my head, or it was in the background or something. So when I was in college, um, I had a chemistry class where I got to learn Python. It was actually, the class was Python for chemistry, bioinformatics, or something like that. So I got exposed to it and I was like, whoa, this is cool. I was already declared as a mechanical engineering major and I stuck with that. I kind of found out too late into college that I loved computer engineering and software engineering. But I just took the ME degree, and the first job I had was kind of a blend. I did a lot of programming, but it was doing mechanical simulation of like rotating equipment. So we did like wind, anything that's like shafts and bearings and gears. So we did train, car, wheel simulations, and wind turbines were our biggest clients. We did helicopters and stuff like that. So, and then I did a had kind of a period of freelance, but then the last two kind of full-time positions I've been hired for have been as a software developer. So I snuck my way in, faked my way in, whatever. And so yeah, Python was the first language, and very quickly after Python, I got interested in writing websites and publishing, writing that way, especially like writing, spinning up my own blogs and stuff. So learned some JavaScript, did a bit of C++. I've honestly, like, I've never written a C++ project. I've always come into like mature code bases and made changes and maintenance and stuff like that. And then when I was working for this simulation firm, uh, worked with Modelica, which is a very interesting, I think probably underutilized language. I think there's a lot of interesting potential applicability of that language. It works very differently than any other language that I've used, maybe than any other language there is. And yeah, wrote some software I was like pretty proud of in that era and that did cool stuff. So, and then in the last 3 years, I've been, was exposed to Rust, learned it, and I've been using that on every personal project I have. I try to kind of evangelize it in my workplaces where appropriate. And yeah, I love writing in Rust. It just feels complete, and the like the abstractions of the language itself, I feel like translate very well into domain logic and business logic, and uh, I love writing it. I love writing small little apps, big systems, all that kind of stuff. I like writing in Rust, and that's what I've been doing the last 3 years. And the whole thing motivating this is just that whenever I'm doing software development, I do a lot of it in my own time. I do it all day at work, and then I can't get it out of my head, and I end up talking to myself about it a lot. Sometimes I talk to friends and family about it, but there's just, especially like, you know, most of my friends, all of my family, none of them do software development, and so it's just limit. I just end up talking to myself. So if I'm talking to myself, I'm gonna just be recording myself talking to myself more, I think. And um, yes, so that was the intro. Brennan XYZ is the channel, I think. So wow, wow, this is so cool. Wow.